Let's talk about logging. Now you might be thinking, why logging? Because logging, isn't really one of the most cool things to talk about or to work on. However, it is one of the most important aspects of any production application. If you're going to try and fix a bug and it's some complex bug, you're definitely going to need to look in the logs. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a request ID to every single request coming into the application, which will allow us to trace all log messages to a particular request. So if somebody is reporting some sort of error, this will help us kind of look things up much quicker. So let's dig right in. I have a blank Laravel project here. The first thing we're going to do is start by creating a middleware because that's the entryway into our application, and we want to get this request ID the first thing. So let's look at creating a middleware. PHP artisan make middleware, and we're going to call it request ID. And so this is just the typical middleware, and Laravel has this new thing called context. So if we call context the context facade and we say add, you basically specify a key value. So if we say we're going to add a request ID, and then we can just use the string helper. So we're going to say string UUID and then toString because by default it is not a string. That's it. So that's how we add the request ID. Let's add this request ID middleware into the middleware stack. In Laravel 11, things are done a little bit differently. You have to open up app.php in the bootstrap. So we have to add our middleware into the middleware stack. And so in order to do that, we just want to do middleware append, and then we're going to add our middleware. So this is just going to be the request ID class. And so now every request, that request ID is going to be put in there. All right, so if we're looking at the welcome or the default route and it's returning the welcome page, what we can do is we can just say log info, and let's just see if there is the request ID in the logs. Let's go ahead and let's load the page. Gonna refresh a couple times, and then let's open the log. And as we can see, this request ID was automatically put in the log and I didn't have to do anything. So let's perhaps add in, there's an endless amount that could be done here. If you wanted to log every request coming in, you wanted to log the URL, you wanted to log the body, you want to log the method, etc. Picture having thousands, if not millions, of log messages, and looking for a particular key. You get a key, and you're able to just whittle down thousands of log messages into just a few of whatever that you needed. One way I've used this that's particularly helpful is if we've got an error page and someone encounters an error, we can provide that request ID on the error page. And so if somebody's reporting a bug, customer support or in your form, you can ask for a screenshot. And if that screenshot includes the request ID, you can then use the request ID to go find that. So it would look something like this. So if we go to the welcome.blade, we can just add in the request ID somewhere around here. So let's look at the page. Let's add it maybe in one of these boxes, maybe where Laracast is. Let's add it here. So what we can do is we can say context and then get request ID. So now we can see that there is this UUID here, and I can't click on it right because there's the default Laravel page has an anchor, and so when I'm trying to copy this, it's not letting me. But you can see this. You can get in a screenshot. You can type that in. This will match a log message. So we see that it ends F1CF. Let's go look at our log messages. F1CF right here. Again, I cannot understate how important this is if you can get a hold of these request IDs, because it will aid in debugging, and greatly reduce the amount of time spent trying to figure out issues. The one thing that this does not help is if you don't have logging throughout your application, you're going to need to add logging in order for this to kind of help. So I highly recommend adding more than you need to, because you'd rather have more than less. You can't add more messages, after the fact, but you can always have more and then kind of filter down and kind of hone in exactly what you're looking for. So that's how you add the request ID. Thanks so much for watching my video. If you found this somewhat useful, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, as it helps my channel out greatly.